Let's have a look around. Oh dear, there's no players. So we have all this spare time to ourselves. Let's have a look around. This game is Battlefield Hardline. Okay, look at the HUD. Looks kind of weird. For some reason there's no players here on this server. Waiting for players. Well, well, that really isn't the point about this video. I had a topic selected already. I was going to talk about what I made my blog post about, new episode, so to say, for the While You Were Gaming series. Okay, let's have a look around. It's a snowy wasteland in a bunker. So this is Battlefield Hardline, and the map, some map from the Betrayal DLC pack that was given free some time ago. So I did download it out of interest, since I already have this game. It's casual fun shooter game. There are no players here for some reason. I'm just messing around in this bunker. I'll try to capture this one, but let's not let any of that slow me down, and let's get right down to the point. I was going to talk about current developments and what will be the, I try to make a little prediction what will be the state of the overall gaming industry in case that there is very soon, within a year or two or so, a financial collapse like the one in 1930s. Something like the Great Depression era way back then. Although people in general, more people lived outside the big cities and were used to working hard labor, and there was just back then the social structure and the society was built in that way. So that's the sidearm. So we would have a similar type of situation where we most likely, is this any good? Don't know. At least I can learn to fly, but what I'm about to say is that with modern era and fewer people in the know of these useful everyday skills, working with their hands and getting their livelihood off the land, agriculture, farming, being a woodsman, and all the basic stuff of survival and food production. It is certainly true that agriculture, with the several technological innovations, has improved, and there is need for less manpower and more machines, and it has became so this more effective and Well, that's that. So the food production is more effective, even though in some places of the world it's hard to, cultivate land. They might have cattle, yes, fishing and other kinds of industries to support their food needs. Other kinds of materials they have to import. That means that some areas are indeed dependent upon food coming from outside the system, and to get that food they need the supply chain, which is, I guess, as effective as it could be in our situation. And to transport basically to transport stuff you need fuel and that kind of thing. So there's the question is what can be produced locally and what has to be brought from outside, and the distance between those places, and how long time before the local reserves are depleted, and those kinds of things play into hand. There's the question of fuel, and will there be enough, and well, you can imagine if there's some kinds of natural catastrophe, the roads are closed and there's no supplying more gas, and you have to make ends meet with the reserves you got, and there's going to be looting and the stores will be empty, and you don't necessarily get as much as you want with any kind of government provided relief efforts. As we can see in like in a war-torn Syria, it's hard to deliver the goods into the areas that are held by the rebels in Aleppo for sure, and that's a big city. So there's that kind of logistical difficulties come at hand, and then there's over the people might panic, and if there's a financial collapse, and many people will be upset, and there's not going to be any food stuff, and basic items will be scarce, and shops might be looted, and police cannot do anything, and business owners might be intimidated by large crowds, and they cannot protect their businesses or the stuff they own. So that's the low level view of things, and some of the basic issues that might come by with everyday people living in cities with large crowds of people, and looking something to eat and something to do, and looking for someone to blame. Those are probably some of the issues that play significant role, or things that you might have to take into consideration. Beyond any of those things, with the other parties, can the gaming industry survive in such a state? No, there's no way, because everyday people, if there's financial troubles with banks and such, there's going to be some kind of halt with the financial transactions, or currency wired transfer of money, and people might see their funds they've deposited in bank accounts, they might be unable to get those funds and use them as they want. There might be some caps put on as the kind of banking regulation, not to prevent people withdraw all the money out of the bank, and some of that money could be used as collateral to settle some of the private debts of the bank. And that's just the bigger issue of the financial system and the kind of fractional reserve banking. If you don't know that, that's just a sad reality of things at this point. So you are not necessarily able to hold on your money. That's one thing, and if you're employed, your employer might not be able to pay you with money if the accounts are put on ice, so to speak. So there's no flow of money, no transaction back and forth. You cannot buy stuff online, for instance, because there's no one can pay the delivery man, and nor can he get fuel or something like that. That's the day-to-day side of things. And then there's the big businesses. There won't be any games, of course, even if they find the web and the digital infrastructure will be will survive most likely. But if there's not people behind the scenes and doing the heavy lifting in the real world, and programmers won't program if they have to just focus all their energy to survive, and instead of putting their work into making new games. And same thing is with the bigger companies and the marketing, and it's a vicious cycle. And what's the point of making games? And well, basically anything if you cannot afford to buy them, even if it's not the kind of feared financial collapse like in 1930s, which would be catastrophic beyond belief. Even a smaller shock could make so that the precariat or the middle class or the demographics that buy game, they would have less funds at their disposal, and it would mean that they wouldn't have either the time or the money to buy the games, and that will slow things down, and it will put many gaming projects on ice, but that just some of the things I can think about when it's all about this. It's entertainment. It is not vital for the survival or the function of a society. It is something complementary or extra on top of that. But when things get serious, it might be this possibility that it will be just pushed aside. Alright, I blew that one, so all it took was a grenade. I guess there's no one showing up in this server. I'll have to find a new server and look a new match to play, but at least I could record this video and do the voiceover, and that should be enough as it is for now. I hope you pay attention to what I said just now, and maybe look up some of the earlier videos I did make surrounding the US presidential elections and the situation in Middle East, which is always developing, and all that kind of stuff about the new era of, well, first of all, we already live in the era of uncertainty and unreliability and unpredictability, but it remains to see whether the next phase is a more positive one, or will get worse than this. But I'll leave you with that very thought. I want to thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.